I just want to bring your attention that, looking at the map, you can see that the park is basically separated by the riverfront lower piece and this upper connection. And this upper connection will really connect the existing South Side Trail to the Hot Meadow Street when completed, coming up in Memorial Day. So you're looking at sort of an interesting looking set of structural steel and poles and cables, and that's going to support a tensile structure which is fabric covered and will be a stage area for event venues. And it's anticipated to actually be covered probably in the next few weeks. We're going to move now up here to the existing South Side Trail and begin to walk our way down. And then once we get up there, I'll talk a little more about some of the historic elements that are here, as well as the materials that are being used and other interesting facts. All right, here's a better view of the steel ladle weighing 160,000 pounds. It'll be lifted up and placed into position farther down the park, and I'll show you those where that location is later in the tour. If you turn around and you look, you'll see some of these look like lollipops, and they're really ingots, steel ingots that are formed. It's unusual to have these kinds of ingots laying around, and primarily why you would find them on a steel mill is that perhaps somebody perished in an accident at the mill and may have been cast in one of these ingots. The single stem ingots weigh about 10,000 pounds. Double ingots that aren't put in place yet weigh about 20,000 pounds. And so you can see as part of this park, we're not going to lose that knowledge of what this area was used for. Whenever you excavate in a site like this, you don't know what you're going to find. We uncover underground tunnels that have piping for water. There are foundations for special equipment that was on site. And so since we don't have maps or drawings of those elements, we're sort of at risk when we begin construction of a project like this. And so a project on a site like this really requires a fairly sizable contingency to mitigate the unknown. Since it was a historical site, there was an archaeological evaluation of the site, and all the historical elements were documented, and those that were to be preserved will remain buried. As we make our way down here, the length of this upper promenade has about 790 linear feet of hard surface. The lower area, which is going to be the riverfront that will be constructed in the future, will be about 1,000 linear feet, just to give you a sense of the length that we're talking here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to proceed down this hard surface, and we'll stop prior to that cut through, and I'll explain to you what that's about. If all of you can see this, this is not a trash can. What these are, there's about 21 drains on the site that collect storm water, and they're discharged into cisterns that will be used for irrigation and other maintenance activities. And so this is the employment of some sustainable green technology that allows us to collect the storm water off site, store it, allow it to cool, and then turn around and then reuse it on site for irrigation and cleaning purposes. The riverfront will accommodate any commercial vessels similar to what we see deliver passengers to the Steelers and Pirates. They can also drop people off here, so those accommodations will be made so that people can come through whatever service on the rivers that are being provided, whether it's river taxis or other commercial vessels. What we have here is a pump house, and inside here was where all the major pumps that provided water to the steel mill process. Pretty substantial size structure, substantial size infrastructure inside. There's an old discharge pipe where there's going to actually be a lens put on there, and the inside's going to be lit, so you can actually walk up and look inside and see what was inside the pump house that fueled the water for this process. and you couldn't imagine the volumes of water that were being used. And of course, it would make sense that it was along the riverfront because that was a great resource for water. This pump house was deemed historically notable, and therefore it was preserved. And when we walk up around, we'll be able to walk up on top, and you'll be able to get a view and see also why we kept it. And you'll notice that these two paths bifurcate to allow people to continue through who want to move through efficiently, and those who want to stop and enjoy the views of the river can capitalize on this raised element. As you see from up here, you get such a better view of the river, and it really is a great opportunity to sit here and enjoy the views. There's proposed to be railing over here, so I don't want anybody to think that this is final construction, but there'll be railings installed around here that'll make it a lot more comfortable for you to sit here and enjoy the site. All right, I just want to give you some summaries of some of the other things that are going to be in the park. There's going to be 8 Three Rivers bike racks for bikers to use. There's going to be interpretive signage. One of the interesting things is that we're going to have a fogger, and it's going to have a sump that will actually pump fog up in the air and create a sort of an interesting element in the park. Of course, I've indicated all the ADA access ramps, and so this park is really very, very accessible to the public, very usable. We're going to have some obviously lighting. You see the light poles that are being tested that are on. There's going to be lights and handrails and other areas throughout to make it very easy to traverse through the park in the evenings and nighttime. You've seen some landscape going in. There are going to be all kinds of grasses, prairie grass, and of course trees. All of it is native plantings that's consistent with River Life's goals in meeting its vision plan, that all these riverfront parks that we build, that we utilize native plantings. That's where the ladle will be placed, and running perpendicular will be an access view corridor for people that can access the park from this end as well. So adjacent to the proposed new hotel, we'll have this view corridor that will look right down on the ladle. It'll be a real eye catcher.